If you think the solution to your cash flow problems is just getting more customers through the door, you are dangerously wrong. Most independent UK operators are completely obsessed with top line revenue, while a massive hole in their business is draining all the cash. Okay. The truth is, your revenue's probably fine. There is probably enough money coming into the building. You just don't have a system to make it stick around. And the absolute biggest lever that you have to fix that right now is your gross profit margin. A tiny 5% shift in your GP doesn't just mean a few extra pounds, right? It can literally double the cash profit you take home at the end of the year. And so in this video, I'm going to pull back the curtain on a typical £1 million P&L and show you the exact levers that you can pull to take control of your profits. Okay, so if we take a look at £1 million P&L and we look at this scenario where this business is doing a 65% gross profit, 40% labor costs, 20% other costs, which leaves them with a 5% profit. Okay, now that 5% means 50k at the end of the year profit that you can take as an owner or whatever it is you want to do with it. Now let's just look at pulling one lever, that lever being GP. If we just increase that GP to 70%, which doesn't seem unreasonable, okay, and it's probably what you're aiming for already, and everything else stays the same, then all of a sudden the profit down the bottom turns into 10% because we've had a 5% increase up the top. What does that do? It gives us 100k of profit out of the bottom instead of 50. So we've doubled the profit in the business by just changing one lever, which is your gross profit margin, from seemingly insignificant, from 65% to 70%. In hospitality, we throw percentages around willy-nilly. In £1 million business, 1% is equal to 10 grand of profit every single year. Okay, so if you grow by 10%, if you grow your profit by 10%, you'll have an extra 100 grand. But even in this example, we've gone from 50k to 100k just by making small adjustments to the gross profit. Okay, and so the good news is that gross profit is totally in your control. We're not trying to drag 1,000 new customers through the door. We're not trying to trim the wage bill by 50%. It's what goes into your gross profit. The thing that drives it is your menu. Okay, and what goes into your menu? There's two things: your sourcing and your pricing. Okay, and so one of these is talked about more, aka pricing, but sourcing is often very overlooked. All right, how across price increases from supplier are you? Because one thing suppliers are really good at is passing on cost increases on ingredients. One thing suppliers are not good at is passing on the cost decreases when the price of that product actually goes down. And we had a crazy example of this. A guy that we were working with was buying bags of frozen avocados, and he was paying £60 for them. I won't say who he was buying them from, but he had a friend who ran a cafe 20 miles away, and he got into that friend's system. The exact same supplier, that same bag of avocados, his friend was paying £40 for. 33% lower, just on the same product, same supplier, different pricing. And so when it comes to your GP, sourcing is a big part of it. How much it costs you to put a dish on a plate is the be all and end all for how much then you have to charge from a pricing point of view. And so when it comes to pricing, one thing I know for a fact, a lot of places are underpriced. And they're underpriced because they tend to price out of their own pocket or based on what other people are doing. And so when it comes to putting stuff on your menu, here's what I want you to think about from a pricing point of view. So you've got the perceived value of the item, and then how much it actually costs you to put on the plate. So like your sourcing, how much the dish actually costs. And so what we want to solve for is, how do we put items on our menu that have a high perceived value but have a low cost to us? And if we flip that on its head, what's the opposite? So what is something that costs us a lot to make but has a pretty low perceived value? to the customer. Things like a really well sourced burger. Let me try and draw a burger for you. Okay. A really well sourced burger where you've got premium meat, you've got great salads, you've got chips, you've got a premium bun. The cost to put that dish together is quite very high compared to how much you can charge for it. Because every man and his dog can anchor the price of your burger to one that they can get at McDonald's for £2. Now, nothing saying anything of the quality, but things like burgers, like fish and chips, we have a ceiling for what we're willing to pay, and so the perceived value is low, right? If you take the opposite versions of that, what is low cost to us that has a perceived high value? Things like brunch are brunch dishes where it's eggs, avocado, toasted sourdough, relatively low cost to put together, but you can charge 14, 15, £16 for. That's going really well. Stuff like, if you look to the places that are doing this well, like Fallow, corn ribs, which is a baby corn cut into quarters, deep fried with a bit of seasoning. The cost to put that on the plate is feck all, but yet you can charge up to £8 probably for that dish. And so the amount of GP that you can make on that dish is high. So all of this to say, when it comes to gross profit, it is in your control. Every 1 percentage point of gross profit, if you have £1 million business, that's £10,000 extra profit in your pocket. It's all your menu. And what goes into your menu is your sourcing and your pricing. Make sure you're getting the right prices from your suppliers and challenge them, and make sure you're pricing your dishes based on the perceived value, not necessarily how much it costs you to put on a plate. And being really smart about your menu and how you put it together, and obviously then with the right controls in the kitchen to manage it. Seemingly small changes can add up to a big difference. Okay, in this example, twice the amount of bottom line profit coming out of the bottom. And if you're an owner running this business, that extra 50k is money you can put into your pension, money you can invest into the business, money you can afford to go on holiday, extra money for you and the effort that you put in. And so one simple focus, one number, not chasing 1,000 more customers, is the perfect way to grow that profit and get you rewarded for all of the hard work that you put in.